Cælum steps through into the other place and is completely surrounded by water. Everywhere he looks, up, down, left, right, it's just water. There's light coming from somewhere, but he can't tell which direction it is. Seconds after he comes through, Hoenir, the large bulk of the Vargur, pops into the space right next to him, and you can see him start thrashing around looking for any direction to move.
I think I'm too calm to properly deliver probably what is going through Cælum's head, but it's probably something like, "What is going on? I think I'm about to drown to death."
Cælum hears Saffron's voice. "Let me out."
If I let him out, who knows what he's going to do, whoever they are. Is it going to help me? Do I have any other options? Should I do a perception check or have you told me everything I can perceive?
You've seen it all. You can't quite tell where the sun's coming from, if there is a sun. There wasn't the last time you were in the other place. You can't tell up from down. You can hear the muffled sounds as Hoenir tries to bark.
I'm just going to quickly do an athletics check, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah, tell me why.
Cælum thinks that if he's underwater, despite not understanding where the light's coming from or which direction is up, down, left, or right, he should be able to see and understand gravity. And he's going to want to try and swim to, the opposite of gravity's pull on his body.
Okay, so I think let's do a perception then for that.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'm not even going to make you roll because you feel almost weightless in this space. All of your perception is off. This doesn't feel normal.
There's no bubbles. If
there's no
bubbles there, I don't think
they're just sort of expanding outward from where you are right now.
Okay. He's running out of options.
No, I'd still like you to give me a perception check.
Okay. What's my difficulty?
It'll be average, but with 2 setbacks for limited time and being underwater. 3 failures, 1 advantage.
That's a bad roll.
Yeah, you don't notice anything peculiar about the bubbles as they move outward from the 2 of you.
But I have an advantage.
You have an advantage. I said, let me out.
Can Saffron read my mind?
I don't think so. Have you, I don't know. Is that an experiment you've done?
Yeah. Yeah, you could cut
flip
to...
a story point to have a teeny tiny flashback to an experiment.
And did we figure out that he could read my mind?
No, I don't think he can. You don't need to flip.
I was gonna flip so that I could tell you that that we can't read each other's minds. Yeah, Cælum has spent a few evenings staring at Saffron's bottle and trying to see if Saffron could read his mind, and he can't. But Saffron's voice echoes in his mind.
It's true. Yeah. And Cælum's lungs start to burn as he begins to run out of oxygen.
Okay. He takes I'll use my advantage to say that he pulls Saffron's bottle out of he's got it kind of on a rucksack, a side bag, and takes a look at it. Can he see anything in it? It's just completely empty?
Yeah. He can see a vague fiery shape, sort of light blue, bright, but dim at the same time, almost as if it's there and not there.
Cælum wonders if Saffron will go out if he opens this bottle, but he doesn't really have any options here. He's gonna drown. I think he's gonna open the bottle.
He uncorks it, and that fiery shape swims out and sort of circles around. And Cælum hears the voice say, "Break it."
The bottle, he thinks? Break the bottle? Oh, okay. He's gonna slowly go for his belt and pull out his iron short sword. And he lets the bottle kind of float in front of him, and it stands still about 3 feet away. This is gonna be really hard, he realizes. To break a bottle underwater? Okay, maybe not that hard. Maybe hard for Cælum. Easy for most people adept with a short sword. I want to do a combat skill. Let's see.
I think you can just do it.
I'm underwater. What if I can't?
I mean, you could just smash it between two things.
No, he's doing what he's doing.
Okay. If you want to roll it,
I want to.
Okay, it's melee, so it's average, and you have a setback because you're underwater.
Okay.
As Hoenir begins to notice that you have potentially a plan, he stops struggling and just doggy paddles in place. You can see his cheeks are puffed up with what little air is left.
I rolled to break a bottle underwater with a short sword, and I failed 2 failures with 2 advantages.
So
I want to spend my 2 advantages.
Okay. Well, you swing your sword at the bottle and you hit it and knock the bottle a little further away.
Yes. And he's kind of struggling to swim towards the bottle and I'm going to spend my 2 advantages, sees a little fleck of material kind of float by as he's swimming after his unbroken bottle. This is a little fleck of metal. It's a little chip in his sword. And he realizes that this kind of home-fashioned sword, which he's improved a few times via alchemy, it's got a little hairline fracture in it.
I see.
He doesn't know, though, that he's supposed to break something. He just wants to break the bottle.
Yeah, and you hear Saffron's voice. Good enough.
Huh?
Now let me in. And you feel something almost tugging at the edge of your mind.
Mike, what are you doing? What's he doing?
I can get us out of here, but I cannot survive in your world as I am.
He's thinking to himself because Saffron cannot read his mind.
Take 2 strain.
I think I know what he wants me to do. I can't have a conversation with him. So I guess I'm about to let go anyway. I'm about to run out of air and just sit here for the next 1,000 years. I take 2 strain, and I think he's running out of air. He might even dispel, what's left of his air, and this is pretty much going to be the end for him.
And as he lets go, he feels something slip into his mind, and it's warm and colorful and almost like a little bubble of fire sitting somewhere in his head. And he feels himself run a finger along the edge of the blade, and he sees it spark as he does this, the same way that the edge of that field sparked when Saffron cut it as that wood thing. And he feels his hand move on its own towards the edge of that blade, and it goes through that crack, and whatever's on the other side is much warmer. And he turns and sees Hoenir sees what he's doing, and Cælum slips through this crack.
He slips through a very small crack in a sword.
Yes.
So he enters into it's not his choice, but
no,
he's gonna do what his body does. Yeah, with his last moment of consciousness that he sees this, he's just questioning, what's going on? Have I lost control? Have I lost control of my body or just my mind? Maybe both.
Both for now.
Saffron, am I dreaming? Am I a bottle? What's happening?
You could say that you are performing the task your bottle performed before. I will wake you when we are safe. I think Cælum loses consciousness as he moves into this next space that's warm and completely dark. Cælum comes to sometime later. He has no idea how long it's been, but he can feel Hoenir's fur on his arm.
What?
Cælum seems to be in full control of his own body.
Hoenir, where's Saffron?
I don't know. I haven't seen him. Did you let him out of the bottle?
Yeah. I didn't know what else to do. We were dying. The rules of gravity, the fundamental rules, mind you, of the universe that we live in, didn't seem to be, long story short, yes, I let him out of the bottle. Didn't seem like any other option. Seemed like he wanted to help. I don't hardly trust him, but he's almost like a weird friend. I let him out, yeah.
Do a perception check. This is going to be an average check. Wow.
This has been a terrible, well, yeah, I've been very unsuccessful.
You're not succeeding today. All right, so 1 failure, 1 advantage, 1 triumph. You don't feel Saffron in your mind currently, and the place that you're in is very, very dark. And from the sounds of yours and Hoenir's voice, it sounds like it's very small, like a small stone room or a cave or something like that.
Can I spend my advantage?
Yep.
I think that when Cælum first wakes up and he rubs his head in the dark and opens his eyes kind of have a light blue kind of glow in the darkness, and it kind of glimmers for a second.
So do Hoenir's.
So both our eyes kind of glow a dim blue, but it is actually quite bright in the darkness.
Mm-hmm. And Hoenir's fade after a minute. Yeah, when you open your eyes and start moving, you could see from the reflections in his eyes that he turned to look at you, but then they fade out.
Do you want to rope that into my triumph?
What's your triumph?
But maybe our eyes both, maybe mine glow a little bit longer, but are there something close to us that they can almost illuminate in this pitch darkness for a moment? I mean, this was, I think, maybe more of a personal perception, but maybe my triumph is that it translates to a geographical success.
A geographical success. You are in the real world.
Yeah, you didn't have to tell me that, but I almost was going to ask you.
It's very dark. It doesn't have that weird feeling that either underwater or that large field had. It's not completely silent like those places were. You can hear distant dripping, and as you glance around for a second, as your eyes open, you catch the reflected glimmer in some stones set in the wall at a distance of about 10 feet.
Probably quartz crystal. It's my best guess. Are you much of a geologist, Hoenir?
It's Hoenir.
Sorry, my accent is atrocious. Hoenir, maybe it's got
no, I don't know anything about rocks.
Well, you've got much to learn and plenty of time to do it. But anyway, shall we stand and get our bearings? A wall, a place to rest our hands and follow to possibly an entrance or exit, depending on how you think about the world. To me, everything's an entrance, a doorway into new knowledge, new adventure.
All right. I think we're on a wall pretty much right now.
Okay. Let's
back up a foot or two.
There we go.
You run your hand along the wall, and you can feel like a little indentation of a crack between stones running from the top to the bottom of the wall.
Huh. Crack. Okay. All right, Hoenir, let's follow this wall till we hit another wall, and then we'll follow that one, and etc. till we get our way out.
You begin walking, running your hand along the wall as you move, and as you get to the far side of this space that you're in, your hand grazes over those stones that you thought were quartz crystals in the wall, and they glow faintly for a second.
Why would they do that? Can I take one of them?
It'll take some prying. You would probably need to have a tool.
He's probably got some tools. I don't know if he really has the patience to do this, is the better question.
So are you trying to pry a stone, or are you going to continue moving?
I'm going to try.
All right. Give me an athletics check. Tell me what sort of tool you have for a boost.
I think in one of the past episodes we did establish that he had a toolkit, and was, I think, in his cousin's like guest bedroom doing some experiments. I think I made a flip for that.
We could just do an easy athletics check. Actually, since it's dark, let's do a coordination, and I won't add a setback for darkness.
Okay. You said easy?
Yeah. 2 successes.
My first success of the game.
And it's to get a rock.
I was ready to fail and just be like, okay. And Cælum reaches into his bag. He has, I think, kind of like a fold-out leather sort of trifold with lots of little narrow sleeves that different tools can rest in. And he pulls out one that is just a little hammer, a very small hammer, and just holds it as the glow of this dissipates and gives it a couple taps and a little piece breaks off.
Right. And as he holds it, that glow comes back. It's not bright. It's not like bright enough to light the way or anything. But
no.
It's solid and it's there.
And he puts it into his bag with that little hammer. Doesn't take the time to, put it back in its proper spot. He'll do that later.
As the two of you move along this passage, time is hard to track. You're not quite sure how long it is before you begin to see a glow at the end of the hallway. And as you go, you do realize that you are in a hallway. The ground beneath your feet is smooth, and the walls have smoothed out a little bit. And it looks like it opens up ahead.
All right, my friend. Get ready for whatever's on the other side of this entrance.
You have any idea where we are?
Judging from the rocks, the smell of the local fungi I can detect, I'd say that we're probably in Fenrayne, I'd assume.
Do you want to do a geography check?
Yeah. Is this the first time I've ever done a geography check?
It might be.
I'm going to do a geography check. I am going to try and use one of my talents.
Oh, okay.
And so maybe this won't be a geography check.
Classic familiar sky, huh?
I haven't used it in a while. So I can do a familiar sky maneuver, make a hard knowledge check, I guess geography, to reveal the current type of environment and other useful information.
All right, so with familiar sky, you can do whichever knowledge check you want to get different information. I probably don't have information for you about that is forbidden right now, but any of the other knowledge skills will work.
I'm gonna do a history knowledge check.
Okay.
Another thing that he is very good at that I've probably never had to do before.
So it's hard. So it's 3 purples. Do you have a reason that you might get a boost?
I would say that as a scholar of the 7 Rivers, his knowledge and memory of Fenrayne's history is advanced. He spent a lot of time studying the history of Fenrayne, the many events that have changed the country. Is it a country?
Fenrayne's a continent.
Does it have countries in it?
Yes, there are a number of countries.
Okay. Well, he knows all about it. I'm making this sound like geography, but it's the history that he knows best. So that's what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard. I'm gonna give myself a boost. I really don't want to fail anymore, and you should probably have a dark token, so I'm gonna flip. I'm gonna upgrade.
So you're rolling 2 yellows.
And it gets rid of
Against 3 purples.
Yeah. And if I fail, I'm gonna be sad.
You're gonna be sad.
0 successes and 1 advantage.
So you are racking your brain, but this tunnel that you're in is very nondescript. It has dark stone, like almost black stone, which is why it was so dark earlier. The glow in front of you is red. It is very warm, and you don't have much else to go on. Do you know what your advantage is?
Can Cælum use some information that I consider to be pretty obvious to connect the dots here?
I suppose.
Based on your description, I think Cælum says, well, Hoenir, I don't know specifically where we are. When I mentioned the scent of the rock and the fungus around this area, I'm picking up a lot of fungus. It's a little damp here, but I think we're surrounded by dark, perhaps igneous rock. this warm glow. I mean, sorry, you mentioned you didn't know much about rock. Igneous, also known as a volcanic rock. It's possible that we are close to a current or past volcano, the best of which I believe I know of is in Hearth, though not incredibly active.
I mean, the red glow up ahead would indicate that if it is a volcano, it is probably active. I mean, just a guess. It's kind of hot.
A fellow scholar of science, I'm happy to hear your hypothesis, and I concur. This is a very valid theory. Soon enough, we will find out, Hoenir. Now, onward.
It's kind of sulfur stink, too. I don't know if you have sensitive noses or what.
Our receptors are quite similar to that of your own.
Gives you a side eye. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, you lead the way.
So, yeah, Cælum continues to lead the way. I think as the light becomes a little bit brighter, the two of them stop hugging this wall. They don't need to if they've got a little bit of light. And they walk forward confidently. I think Cælum is maybe walking with a bit more confidence since Hoenir has joined his crew. And it's probably why he hasn't thought at all about his sword, which has disappeared into a watery abyss somewhere in perhaps another dimension of time.
And as they move forward, they enter a more open space. Looking up, the ceiling of this cavern is dark, but it's lit by a glow from down below. The path that they're on looks like it turns into a bit of a bridge as this room opens up. And looking over the edge of it, there's a small crack of red running along the floor of this room. Little gouts of steam pop up here and there. As far as you know, Hearth is not particularly active, but the Dvergar do use the steam produced by the volcano to power some of their more interesting machines.
So Cælum takes a look around. We're looking at a large cavern, probably the ceilings are 100 feet in the air.
Yeah, they're very high. There are a couple little things, little tubes sticking down from the ceiling. You don't know quite what they are. Possibly bits of machinery.
How are your eyes, Hoenir?
They're fine.
Can you ever see anything like those tubes?
They just look like tubes.
That's what I thought too. You notice anything interesting? What is that, a bridge? Like a stone bridge?
Yeah, I'm getting a whiff of fresh air.
Well, perhaps from the tube, if it goes to the surface.
Maybe.
Does that bridge look naturally occurring to you?
Not at all. You look at it and it looks like it was carved stone.
Well, I would say we can trust it. Let's go ahead and cross this bridge. Perhaps a way to those tubes and that fresh air lies ahead, my friend.
As Cælum and Hoenir begin to cross this bridge that spans the entire cavern, it's going to be a couple minutes before you get all the way across it. Hoenir says, "So, we gonna talk about Waterworld, or?"
Yeah, I've been thinking about that too. Strangely enough, I have thought about it, and nothing about that makes any sense to me at all.
Yes, nothing about that made any sense to me either.
Things that don't make sense are often the things that I find to be the most interesting. But as we were only there for, I'd say, 60 seconds? There's only so much information that I was able to gain. None of the principles of our universe, Fenrayne, the continent, and its, what I'm familiar with from Fenrayne, seem to make any sense or be present in that environment. Would you agree, Hoenir?
I would agree. It made very little sense. I couldn't tell up from down.
I am not certain. Can I do a forbidden check to, pioneer some understanding of the ununderstandable?
What do you want to understand?
All I really want is for him to understand that make the discovery that after going to these two different places where the principles of his universe were topsy-turvy, that those places are an other place, an other dimension or reality.
Hoenir says, I could tell that if there was air, I would have been able to travel, but I couldn't bark.
Well, obviously there was no air because we were underwater, right?
Right. What I'm saying was that magic still existed there. Whatever other properties you think weren't there from this world or whatever you're saying, magic was still there, and I could have used it if I could talk.
Okay. Magic was there.
And it wasn't just there, it was stronger. I think I probably could have gone anywhere rather than... I mean, normally I have to know where I'm going. I have to have been there.
And how do you feel now, Hoenir? Do you feel like that strength is dissipated?
Yeah, no, this is just a regular place.
This is just a regular place. You feel that you've gained anything from your experience other than the dark understanding of your own mortality?
Other than this layer of salt crust in my fur. Nope.
Huh. Wait a second. I'm just curious. Was the water salty?
Yeah. How did you not swallow any?
It's a technique that I've been working on. Watch how I inhale and exhale. Nothing got in.
I think there's a bit of a difference between our species.
Well, I mean, obviously. Salt water. In a world with no air. In a world with no edges. In a world made of water. Where does the salt come from? There's some questions I'll never get the answers to.
That's probably one of them. As the two of you keep walking, you see the other end of this long bridge across this room. And at the end, it goes into another hallway that turns off to the right. And from the right, you see another glow, but not the red glow of molten rock, the brighter, whiter glow of the sun. And as you move, you begin to hear voices and sounds that you would normally associate with like a town. Hustling and bustling of people and wagons and animals and the steady thumping of a machine far away.
You hear that, Hoenir? That's the sound of civilization.
Yeah, civilization and I don't always get along.
Well, I recommend that you change that. How do we... Okay, you know what? You don't have to change.
You get the vague impression of laughter somewhere in the corner of your mind.
What? Hoenir, if I've learned anything on my years of traveling this great continent, it's that the world will often give back to you what you give it. Now, enter into civilization with an open heart and mind, and it will reciprocate.
Hoenir rolls his eyes as the two of you walk into town.
Okay, and as we step into said town, what do we find?
Would you like to describe Hearth to me?
And I think we'll start with Cælum ribbing Hoenir as best a man can rib a large wolf-like creature. Say, "You're in for a treat." As I suspected, it was a theory. We indeed are in the great city of Hearth, a beautiful, rich, industrial point of interest in our great continent. Just feast your eyes upon the many, well, I said it before, but industrial and, well, just look around. And they look around, and Hearth is a city founded and built around a mostly inactive, I would say inactive, series of a volcano, or a series of little volcanoes.
Yeah.
So
There's
the
one
city,
big one.
One big one.
Yeah. And then, as volcanoes do, There's like a chain of smaller ones that trail along the spine of the western spine.
And so the city is kind of built down into the
Caldera?
crater of the volcano. Is that correct?
Caldera.
Caldera. Is that the name of the volcano?
No, that's the name of the crater. That's what a crater is. A volcano crater is a caldera.
Oh, cool. Thank you for educating me. So yeah, can you tell me, or do you want to explain more about what we're looking out at?
So yeah, Hearth is built on the edge of this large volcano. The caldera dips thousands of feet down, and the city of Hearth is built right on the rim. So half of it is sort of overlooking this big crater, and the other half is on the outside of the volcano. There are buildings built right from the rock, and there are large platforms jutting out of the side of it that have more and more buildings, ramps going between lower platforms and higher platforms. There are some smokestacks here and there puffing out smokes in gray and white and black, and among the people walking around town, you see just about everyone from Kilpies to Hylia, humans, Hutchins. You even spot a raccoon. And there are quite a few Dvergar walking around as well.
Can you describe the Dvergar?
Sure. Yeah, so Dvergar are short in stature. They are maybe 4.5, 5 feet tall at most. They are stout, stocky people with large eyes that are adapted to seeing details and seeing in the dark, which is what makes them so good at making intricate machinery. And their skin is in a range of hues from gold to silver, bronze, almost metallic. And as a scholar, you would know that these people seem to share an ancestry with stone folk. They have metal bones and their blood runs molten. As you're walking around, you spot a smithy. Dvergar is one of them is pounding the metal with his fists, and one of them takes a crucible straight from the furnace with her hand and places it down before pouring the metal out.
And Cælum says to Hoenir, "Hey, lost that sword. This isn't a bad place to get another one. Just look around."
Hanging low in the air above the city is a zeppelin, and on it is the insignia of the Iron Tower.
Hoenir, what do you know of the Iron Tower and of the Fellowship of the Seven Rivers?
Well, I know where Hearth is, and I'm kind of surprised to see that here. They don't tend to, your people don't tend to come this far west. Kind of stick to Gilder. But yeah, you take care of the dead problem, I guess.
Oh, you raise a good point. Why? What are they doing in this part of the continent? It's a bit unusual, but probably something diplomatic. Perhaps a contract for import-exports, a share of resources. I'm not sure, but this is an ideal opportunity for me to get back to the Iron Tower and to the Fellowship. They're here. I'm lost. I'll just go and we'll have a conversation, and I'll be back in my distinguished place of office as a scholar at the Iron Tower in but a few days. And you are more than welcome to join me as my personal research assistant. We can call you a partner. I don't want to subjugate you underneath me.
I'm not interested in joining, but yeah, I'll come with you.
Think of yourself as a private contractor. We can make up any title we want for you. You could be the executive officer. We'll come up with something better. Something that suits you. Something that speaks to you as a Hoenir.
Okay. where do the two of you go? This city is big. It rivals Gilder as far as size. You know, the country of Hearth is small. It's the smallest country in Fenrayne. But the city itself is pretty large. And, yeah.
Do I have any money?
I don't think you do. Maybe you got some from your cousin. I don't know.
All right, I'm going to flip a point.
Okay.
And remind you that my cousin gave me some money.
Your cousin was kind of wealthy. He had an automaton servant. Okay.
Yeah.
Your cousin gave you some money.
What did he do for a living? Was he a dentist?
No, I don't think so. I think he was a dean.
Oh, yeah. Hoenir, academia runs deep in the blood of the Claras. And luckily for us, that blood means money. My cousin gave us some.
You take out a little pouch from your belt and just give it a little toss in the air and catch it.
Just judging by the weight, there must be, I don't know, 50 to, 200. The exchange rate is really good in Hearth this time, right now. And, yeah, let's go buy me a new sword. What do you need, Hoenir? My treat, if that's enough.
No idea. I think I'm probably fine.
Have you ever spent money before? It feels great.
I have not.
You should try it. Just
Okay.
watch me and watch how great I feel.
Shopping montage?
So, yeah, there's a shopping montage where Cælum walks around and buys a couple of things.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Otherplace. If you like The Otherplace, you should listen to Tales from the Grey Library and the Fenrayne Files. In Tales from the Grey Library, we follow new sets of adventurers and stories all across the world of The Otherplace. Each story features a different GM and new players. The first story just finished, and the second one starts next week and features AJ, who you know as Rabberto. And in the Fenrayne Files, we take a zoomed-out look at the world of The Otherplace, with topics ranging from myths and legends in the Fellowship of the Seven Rivers to specific saints and necromancers. Come join us as we expand the world and learn more about it. The Otherplace is a production of Nightcast Creative. For more about us and the things that we do, visit nightcastcreative.com.